So Apple is in big trouble, and here's why. You see, Apple is facing a huge crisis in China right now, just days before the iPhone 15 launch. Chinese government has decided to ban the use of iPhones by government officials. Not only they are banned from using the iPhone for work, but they can't even stroll into the office with these phones in their pocket. And not just that, Bloomberg also reports that this is only the start of China's crackdown on the iPhone. A much broader set of restrictions is in the pipeline, and they also say the majority of Chinese carriers may not even sell the iPhone 15. China is the biggest market for Apple in terms of iPhone sales. In Q2 of this year, it even overtook the United States as the biggest iPhone market. So if China decides to expand this ban across the country, it could spell big trouble for Apple. China currently accounts for a whopping 24% of total iPhone sales worldwide. In 2022, Apple sold around 230 million iPhones, and about 45 million of those came from China alone. That's a massive chunk of their business. The news about this ban hit Apple hard, causing their stock price to drop, and they lost a staggering $200 billion in market value in just a matter of hours. Now here's where it gets tricky for Apple. Apple has most of its products made in China, which makes them closely tied to the country. But the good news is Apple has been gradually moving some of its production to other places like India, just in case something like this happens. So while it's a tricky situation, Apple's iPhone production won't come to a total halt if China decides to have a nationwide ban on all iPhones. Interestingly, this scenario has a familiar ring to it because it's quite similar to what happened to Huawei. First, it was banned in the US government offices, and then boom, a nationwide ban that totally crippled the company. Now you might be wondering why China is doing this, especially when iPhones have been so popular there. Well, the main reason behind this move is China's desire to reduce the risk of unauthorized access to sensitive government data and the potential transmission of information outside the country's borders. If that sounds familiar, it's because the US used a similar rationale when banning Huawei. This ban is essentially part of a broader plan by the Chinese government to decrease its reliance on foreign technology, particularly reducing its dependence on American software and circuitry. Also, there are talks that these measures are counters to the US ban on Huawei and ZTE and even recently TikTok. Interestingly, there is a surge in sales of Huawei phones after this news. Look at this video. People most probably working in government offices are rushing to the Huawei store, and there's not a single soul in the Apple store. China has more than 150,000 state-owned companies employing more than 56 million people according to state media, which basically explains how big of an impact this has on Apple already, even before a nationwide ban. So yeah, potentially losing access to an entire Chinese market would be a significant blow to Apple's revenue and profitability. But say even if the ban stays just to the government workers and they don't extend it to the regular people, it would still tarnish Apple's reputation in China. It may lead to a negative perception of the brand, impacting consumers' trust and loyalty. In either case, Apple is screwed big time with no fault of their own. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.